Hello and welcome, dear listeners. It's really great to see you all again. And welcome to Healthy Waves, the podcast where we dive deep into various topics with the experts, discussions to enhance your mind, body, and the life. I'm your host Avik, and today we have a fantastic guest uh, who is here to share her insights and expertise on unlocking the longevity through subconscious reprogramming and the muscle health. So, we are joined by incredible guest Tricia. Welcome to the show, Tricia.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Lovely. So, Tricia, as I always do, I love to introduce you to my guest, to all my listeners. That uh, Tricia. So Tricia is a certified neurolinguistic programming practitioner. Like, she is an expert in personal development with over 13 years of entrepreneurial success. So, with a bachelor's of science in web development, she is also a published author dedicated to enlightening the others on the power of reprogramming the subconscious mind. She's also passionate about helping people live their dreams and achieve the true freedom. So, she guides individuals to live in alignment with their truth and the purpose. So, with this, I would love to welcome Tricia again to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Lovely. So, Tricia, uh, it's really great to connect with you. And on this, like, if you can share a bit about your background, like, what led you to your current work in the subconscious reprogramming and the muscle health?
Yeah, so I think at some point in your life, you end up getting to this place where you're like, okay, something's got to give. I'm on this endless loop and this cycle of, maybe something negative just keeps happening and showing up in different ways in your life. And I think for me, it was about 10, 12 years ago that I started on this journey.
Mhm.
I was actually from a life coach. She had told me, she's like, I think you should probably actually go see a therapist.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, that means I'm a little more traumatized than I thought I was. I had thought that I had done some of the inner work and, it was literally just beginning. And so I think the whole idea behind going to the therapist and doing some EMDR and starting to read all these books and, just kind of dive into even things like The Secret and the Law of Attraction and just figuring out, why certain things were flowing into my life, negative and positive, right? And just figuring that out. And then you get on this journey of like, once you kind of figure yourself out, then you want to start helping other people figure themselves out. So that's what really started the idea, like the main idea behind neurolinguistic programming is so much of the stuff is stored in our subconscious that's happened to us. And that's what's really making our decisions and controlling our lives. Only 5% of what we do on a daily basis is controlled. And I always point here, right, for the conscious mind.
That's really lovely. So, also, like, if I ask, like, how do you believe, I mean, the mind body connection influences the overall health and the longevity?
I think our mind completely controls our body. I think that we have the power to heal ourselves. I think that we have everything is mindset. Absolutely everything, even down to going to the gym and working out. It's mindset, right? It's like if you sit here and think, "Oh, this is hard. I don't want to do this." Then guess what's going to happen? It's going to be hard and you're not going to want to do it. So it's actually, I always say, it's really simple. It's just not always easy, right? It is such a huge connection between mindset and what happens with our body.
Understood. That's very true. And also, so Tricia, like, if you can explain, like, the NLP. So we often hear this uh, three little letters, NLP. So if you can explain, like, what NLP is and how it can be used to reprogram the subconscious mind for the better health and the performance.
Yeah. So neurolinguistic programming, obviously neuro is the brain, right? Linguistic is language, and it's kind of like the programming of the brain and how it works with our body. And so I think just figuring out, it's really the whole communication system is what you're trying to figure out. So the whole neuro part of it and the study of the brain to figure out what's actually going on. When you think about like your amygdala and you think about all these traumatic events that have happened to you and a little bit of that fight or flight system that a lot of us are in at all times. I mean, I know people that are in fight or flight at every moment. And so I think once you can figure a lot of that stuff out about people, you use the neuro part, right? And then we use the language to get a lot of that out and figure out what's going on in their bodies. So the neurolinguistic part of it is it has a lot to do with that subconscious part of the body, whatever you want to call it. And I think whenever you can get to a place of being able to retrain and reframe things based on different auditory abilities or even just visual, right? You can basically retrain your actions and your reactions to things moving forward.
That's very important. Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, NLP, like when we are hearing. So, what according to you are some of the common misconceptions about the subconscious reprogramming and that you have or you did like to address?
I don't know. If there's a lot of common misconceptions about subconscious reprogramming. I think it's more people just don't know what it is, right? And they don't know that to get off those cycles and off of those loops, that you actually have to do something, and it's more than just like saying affirmations, right? And retraining in that way. There's so many different ways to do it, and so many people are creating their own methods of how to do that. But I think that it's so much about like when you think about your limiting beliefs and what's keeping you stuck, you have those because of different traumas that happened whenever you were a child. So I don't know that every single trauma needs to be addressed. I think that is probably one misconception I believe with therapists is that they're addressing every single trauma and figuring out everything that's happened. So you have to go back every week for an hour, and it's like you just keep redigging up this stuff when really you can address the feeling that came from it. So for me, I believe that every kid needs to be seen, loved, heard, and feel safe. And so in those four different areas, what situation and what was the very earliest event that you didn't feel one of those things? That's what needs to be addressed, because that's where your triggers start as an adult. Your triggers happen because you feel this way again, and your brain doesn't know the difference between past, present, future. So it doesn't know that that current event isn't happening to you at that very moment. So in that being said, the subconscious reprogramming is you take that and you figure out a way to retrain that feeling, and you can have different emotional ties as you're older, and you aren't on this crazy roller coaster ride of emotions. It's a lot more not letting the outer world affect your inner world anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And also, so one more thing is coming to my mind, like when we're talking about the neuro-linguistic programming. So, uh, what do you think, like in your experience, like about the biggest misconceptions that people have achieving the longevity? So, is there any connection between longevity and the subconscious mind, subconscious reprogramming? So,
um Maybe rephrase a little bit of like what longevity.
like as you mentioned about like our mind controls our body. So right. So in that sense, what do you think longevity of the person of the life in that sense? I'm saying, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I think, I mean, for sure, I think mindset is key there, right? Like I always say, I'm going to live
Yeah.
to 100. So guess what? I bet you anything, I live to 100 because
Yeah.
I already have my mind set there. And I think the
Mhm.
quality of life is even more important, right? It's like if you
True.
feel like you are the creator of your life. Like I believe in a creator. I believe in God, and I believe that he created us, but I also believe he created us in his image. where we have the power to create our lives, make the decisions, make the choices, take the actions, and do all the things to basically have a path that we
Yeah.
create. So I think it's about how you look at life, what vibration you're putting out to the world. And I think longevity is great, right? But if the quality of life isn't there, then it's not going to be so great anymore. So I think your mindset is going to be key to making that quality of life in longevity and feeling good at 100 years old versus feeling like you're 100 years old, right? And not feeling great anymore.
Correct. On this, like when you're saying the quality of life, which is definitely, I totally agree. Also, at the on the other hand, like what according to you are some of the common subconscious blocks that people face when they are trying to improve their health or the quality of life? So
Yeah, I think the blocks typically are like your limiting beliefs, right? They are the I'm not enough, or you have different fears, right? Of you have a fear of other people judging you or whatever it is. And our brains are literally set up. It's like the study of cybernetics, right? Our brains are set to basically stay on track. So say you're at like a 72 all the time, right? That's the temperature we keep in our house, our houses, and then you start to get up to 74, 75, 76, and you get on this really amazing path. Well, it's going to, your subconscious is going to hold you right back down. It's going to say, nope, that's not safe, we can't go there. And so it actually creates an instance in your life that'll drop you right back down to where you were at, so you're not able to creep up. And so you have to be really aware of these different things that are going to happen, and you take a different path, right? And every single time you take a different path, you're creating these new neural networks in your brain, literally physically changing your brain when you take a different path than you took before. So that is a huge part of subconscious reprogramming is, even if you're going on a walk or brushing your teeth, brush your teeth with a different hand, walk the opposite direction you usually go. And these sound like very minor things, but they are all pieces of subconscious reprogramming. So the blocks are easy to get away from whenever you realize what they are, and if you know that you're afraid of judgment, just put your stuff out there. Don't worry about it. It's like easier said than done, right? Not worrying about what other people think about you. But I feel like that's something that kind of naturally happens as you get older. You get to a point where you don't care as much what other people think.
definitely that point comes as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
So also, like if you can share some of the practical tips, or maybe the steps, I would say rather, steps or techniques that our listeners can use to start reprogramming their subconscious minds today.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I would say is definitely meditation. It's a huge part of my life. And, even listening to a frequency or something while you're meditating versus
Mhm.
actually listening to a guided meditation. I just heard the other day, because I typically listen to guided meditations. And I
Yeah.
just heard the other day that that's not always the best, because it actually keeps you in your mind and it keeps you thinking versus just silence. And you dive a little bit more into your heart and a little bit more into your soul, because one of the things that I'm actually in very deep study right now,
Yeah.
as far as the subconscious reprogramming goes, is that we have a conscious, we have a subconscious, and then we have a soul conscious. And so
Mhm.
if you can get that subconscious to kind of let go a little bit with help from the soul conscious, so diving really deep into your heart and going into meditation that way, you will come out of it with answers. And if you're seeking clarity on something, write it down before you meditate. And a lot of times, whenever you come out of that meditation, think about the first thing that comes up in your head and listen to it. Take action on it and make sure that you are on the path of creating the one universal purpose in your life.
That's lovely. That's really lovely. Also, like when you mention about the meditation part, which is very very important, I totally agree and support meditation. So one more thing, also totally agree. Like you mentioned about the guided meditation, which definitely the guided meditation, it actually directs you how to do it rather than you feel calm without any guided meditation. So, what do you think? Like meditation with the music, I mean, obviously not the loud, it's a calm music, light music, and uh, uh, like with own self, and following uh, focusing on the meditation part. So what do you think, like how it impacts?
So, I mean, the whole idea of meditation is get to know oneself, right?
Mm.
So, knowing that, how are you going to get to know yourself when you're being guided into so many different thoughts? I think that there's a really great place for all, for guided, for just frequencies and silence. I actually meditated the other day just laying in the hammock, and I made sure that my hands were in the grass. And so I was actually getting grounding and getting that natural energy from the earth as well. And so I think that there's different ways, especially when you're first starting out, you might need to do a guided meditation. But the whole real idea behind meditation is to silence, right? You want to silence the mind and silence that subconscious and the conscious brain, so that way you can move a little bit deeper into the soul and get more of that intuition. So I'm actually kind of on a path right now of getting to the point where I'm just using frequencies and possibly even silence in most of my meditations versus the guided ones. But the guided ones are nice whenever you first start out, and it maybe it's about affirmations, or just inner peace or those kind of things, because they'll keep your mini mind from going as much. So I think that there's a different place, and you have to figure out what works for you, and figure out, maybe even the advanced version is a little bit more of the frequencies and the silence instead of the guided.
True, exactly. And so, how has reprogramming your own subconscious mind impacted your life and the career?
Yeah, so I think that a lot of it was just the whole idea. The very first thing that I actually manifested and it just showed up in my life is my soulmate. And so it was one of those situations where I sat and I meditated a lot, and I reprogrammed kind of what I was looking for. I had a reminder actually in my phone that said, I am love, right? And I attract love everywhere I go. And the more you can feel this and the more you can vibrate love, the more love is going to come to you, and it's going to be the love that you're actually wanting to attract. So I think the whole idea behind reprogramming on that was me just really getting really silent, right, with myself, and getting to a point that I was able to vibrate on that amazing energy with this amazing man that just showed up in my life. So whenever you talk about like the reprogramming piece of it, it was me becoming who I wanted to be with. So I had a list of like, you know, 15 different things that I wanted in a person. Well, what's better to vibrate on that energy than to go ahead and do those things and make sure I'm doing those and holding myself accountable and showing self love and taking baths and reading and exploring myself. And then when this amazing man shows up in my life, we're just vibrating at the same frequency and have the most amazing love I could even imagine.
Wow, lovely. And also, like, if you can share a success story, like where subconscious reprogramming significantly improved someone's health or extended their longevity.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a longevity success story, but
Yeah.
I definitely I and I talked a little bit about this on the last podcast, but it's like the whole idea behind our children, right? And whenever you're raising a child, and my whole why is to create generational change. And so kind of goes along with my last story of, the reprogramming myself to find my soulmate. Well, now my daughter has found well, they're 19 and 18 years old, and she has found this. I don't even know whether to call him a boy or a man, but he's like this young man, and he is so amazing to her. And I truly believe that the whole reason that she could even vibrate at that same level was because she saw what was going on in the house, how I sat and I meditated and I waited for this person. And so at this point, she has finally found someone that's treating her unbelievably. Most days she's like, I had no idea this stuff was even possible. And so I think that that is, I mean, that as a parent is one of the most success stories like that you could ever possibly be proud of, is somebody kind of watching your actions and being able to almost follow in your footsteps as well, because she's writing a book and she has her own podcast, and so she's doing the same things that I've done but 20 years ahead of me.
That's lovely. That's really lovely. And also, so we talked about the subconscious mind. So how does the process of reprogramming the subconscious mind differs for individuals versus the groups or teams?
I think, well, I mean, it can be done as a group for sure. I think that you don't necessarily, it's kind of what I was saying, is like you don't have to go into the exact traumatic event that happened.
Mhm.
You just have to reprogram the feeling that was happened to actually what the truth is, right? I've seen it where you make three different lists, right? You have a list of what's happening and how you're feeling, and then you have another list of how you want to feel, and then you have another list of actually what's really true. And the more, I always say awareness is key, the more that you can actually get to a place where you can realize these things, then you're going to be like reprogramming and completely changing cycles in your life. So whenever you think about it that way, and say everybody was in the middle of doing the subconscious reprogramming as a group, they would be focusing on whatever their feeling was, because generally speaking, most people their biggest fear is that they are not enough. And then the secondary piece of that is that they're not enough for someone to truly love them for who they truly are. And so knowing that right there, that is like I would say 99% of people have that fear or that limiting belief. And so group sessions can be just as powerful as individual sessions, because it's about the feeling, not about the exact event that you're reprogramming.
Understood. Understood. And also, one more thing is coming to my mind. Like, what according to you are the goal setting and visualization play in achieving the success for both the personal and the professional life?
Yeah. I think goal setting is really important because you can celebrate yourself. The key there is to actually celebrate yourself whenever you reach the goals. I think people don't do that near enough. But I think as far as visualization is going to be what's going to get you into the frequency that you want to be vibrating at to attract the things that you want. So visualization to me is so powerful. I'm actually in the middle of creating a virtual reality experience right now that has to do with different types of visualizations. So that is going to be an absolutely amazing tool for therapists, for life coaches, for people to be able to retrain the subconscious through visualization of what they want to see in their future and how they want to feel. And kind of going back to that whole subconscious reprogramming story of finding my soulmate, is like the biggest thing that I was doing was sitting and visualizing how I would feel when this person came along. And I could literally, like, I would wake up in tears from my meditation because I would be able to feel so much love just sitting there. And he wasn't even here yet. So whenever you can get to that place of vibration and frequency, that's when things really start manifesting and coming to you.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Great. That's really lovely. And before we wrap, like, how do you incorporate the personal development practices into your daily routine?
Yeah, so I read every day, no matter what. It's one of my favorite things to do. I actually always say I want to get paid to read because I just love doing research and finding things out. And meditation every day for sure. I walk in the morning as well. So I try to, there's a lot of things I want to do every day. I want to do breath work. I want to do this. I want to do that. And you don't really have time to do everything you want to do when your list is 15 things long. So it's like between visualizations, reading, meditation, and movement, and some sort of exercise beyond just walking as well, some sort of muscle training is typically what I'll do. But I also am not so hard on myself when there comes a day that my basement flooded last week twice. So it's like, okay, the workout is probably going to be the thing that is going to go this week, you know? So just not being hard on yourself and really so celebrating yourself whenever you do get the chance to do the things that you really want to be doing. Finding a balance.
Exactly. That's very true. And also one more. So what according to you are some of the I mean, what thoughts or advice you'd like to share with listeners about unlocking the uh, I mean, longevity, I would say, because in terms of the quality of life to the subconscious reprogramming, you if you can share.
Well, I only heard part of your question because it was breaking up a little bit.
So I'm saying, like, any advice you'd like to share for our listeners about how to unlock subconscious reprogramming.
Yeah, I think just getting into those daily practices is really important. I think getting out of your mind and relaxing as much as possible. I've actually even started taking naps every once in a while, even 15, 20-minute naps to be able to just for a refresher. I think that you just really need to listen to your body and get out of the monkey mind, the mini mind that just is going and going all the time, and finding a way to kind of calm the nervous system a little bit more than our really, really fast paced environment that we live in now. I've actually gotten to a place where the more I can relax, the more I've actually made more money those months. I've actually felt better. I've actually worked out more and just created a little bit more balance in my life. So I think just really slow down, slow down. Life's too short.
True, very true. Yeah, great. So thank you, Tricia, for sharing your incredible insights and expertise with us today. And it's been truly enlightening to learn about the subconscious reprogramming. Definitely, I would say it's and talking it as well. So for the listeners, I'd love to mention, like, who want to learn more about Tricia's work, be sure to check out her website and explore the resources they offer. So Tricia, like, if someone wants to connect with you, how they can connect?
Yeah, you can just go to Tricia, Tricia, Lee, LEA.com, and you can pretty much find out everything you want to know. And there's just links going to different directions, figuring out. I have a web design and branding agency. I've written a book that can be purchased. I'm creating workbooks on all the different 12 areas of the Wheel of Life that can be purchased on Amazon. So you can find it all there.
Perfect. Great. So, dear listeners, like, remember that achieving a healthy mind and a healthy life is a journey. And by integrating these powerful strategies, we can and you can definitely unlock new levels of potential and the well-being for sure. So, thank you again for tuning into Healthy Babes. And it's if you've enjoyed this episode today, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends and family. And until next time, stay healthy and keep thriving. So, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.